Ba. Welcome everybody. This is Everything Teams Phone Live, the Comms vNext edition, and we're coming at you pretty live. I think we're coming on YouTube and whatever else we're streaming to. So, gents, nice to hang out with you here at Comms vNext in Denver. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah, it's going well. It's the event started this morning, off with a pretty lively bang with the keynote. I think for me, still a lot to process based on what the keynote was about, which we can talk about if you want. A lot of good takeaways. We're already, as momentum, we're already, we've got people here from our product group that are already very interested in some of the capabilities around like Copilot Studios.
This is the thing that astonishes me, right? Is like, we live this every day, right? Us three particularly, we live this stuff every day, and you think about the majority of the world still doesn't really understand the capabilities. They don't understand what agents are, right? And I'm just going to say it, the theme of the show to me seems to be AI, agents, obviously around the Microsoft Teams ecosystem because it's a Microsoft Teams show. Mark, what do you think?
What do I think about agents? I think we're in the very early stages of it. I think businesses need to take some time to understand what potential use cases are for it. And yeah, maybe test a little bit first before going 2 feet in. But it's definitely going to be a thing for the future. Because if you can serve your customers quicker, faster, more efficient, then it's good for everyone.
Yeah, period. Right. If faster, more efficiently, cheaper, you're gonna win in business. This is a thing that that interests me is that businesses either don't understand sort of the ecosystem just yet, or they don't understand sort of the what an agent does. They don't understand the workflows just yet, and that's okay, right? Because it is just like you said, we're in the early stages of it, right? But it is transformational in what the capabilities are now today capable of delivering. And I think you're seeing some, I'm not going to call them bleeding edge, but you're seeing some companies take advantage of it and realize some really interesting statistics or some really interesting sort of benefits. And then I see, other companies that don't know, how to spell AI, right? So it's pretty interesting. Well done, Mark.
A1 steak sauce.
But
what? Oh, AI. That's what we're talking about.
That's the whole theme of the show, though, right? In the Microsoft ecosystem. I spent some time with Juan, who's the keynote. I don't know his official title at Microsoft. Anybody know what Juan's official he's a big dude there, right? He's like runs some team
VP
stuff.
of something, I think.
Right.
But I don't remember his title.
Yeah. So we were talking about kind of the population of countries, right? And GDP output and economic growth and things like that. And I think last year was the first year that populations started to decline. So you're seeing a decline of people working and producing, right? China's low on people in their manufacturing their output's not as much, whatever it may be, right? US same, Japan same. And so you look at that and you go, are AI agents kind of the answer to that? Like, are AI agents going to be the fill-in employees that we see on the decline so that we can produce at output or more than we're producing today?
I think
probably 20, 30 plus. I think now is not the time for the hockey stick moment. I think there's a lot of personal protection involved, like what's in it for me? Is my job under threat?
Right.
And then also the quality, not to mention where does my data go? Is it getting trained for other means?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So all that needs to be worked out, and I think it will be. There's probably a discussion about governance as well that needs to happen before anybody will adopt it on the massive scales.
Yeah, and I think before you go with this, is it going to go replace humans in entire roles and replace those salaries and that cost? I think it's more important to step back and look at the efficiency gains that it's going to bring to the table that are going to empower people to be more productive. That was kind of the big thing I took away from the keynote was, Juan was on stage talking about how it's tackling, call it mundane tasks that in the development world where these developers are getting caught up in delays between pulling code, fixing bugs, and getting the code reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
and using AI to just streamline that, automate it, and speed the process up. So now you have way more efficient use of your existing resources. Your output then is obviously higher.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, not using Copilot, but using ChatGPT for my other things, I find I rely on it a lot more these days.
Yeah.
Because I don't write the best English, so I struggle to get my point across. So I'll talk to ChatGPT and say, this is what I want to say, make it sound more professional. And then it does it for me. I copy and proofread it and go, right, I'm happy with that. That's something I would potentially say, and that's what I want to say. So there you go.
Mark, I'm going to ask, there's two ways to go here. Either A, you've been lying this entire time,
Yeah.
or B, I don't know yet. But here's what I'm interested in understanding. Like you write impeccably, and I'm talking pre-Chat GPT. So you getting your point across and not the best English. Mark, that's not true. Everyone on the internet, Mark is an amazing writer, copywriter, editor. Like the guy doesn't make a mistake, and he spells everything out so succinctly. It's very impressive. So sorry.
That comes with the Plus subscription.
Yeah, but that's a pre-GPT, because I'll tell you anyway. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's I think, Brandon, back to your point for just a second. I read a report. World Economic Forum has a report out. It says 85 million people are going to be misplaced jobs, but it's going to create 97 million more, and it kind of breaks it down and says kind of the transactional task jobs are going to be the jobs that are going to be lost, but they're going to be replaced by people that are managing AI. Kind of like, Mark, you're saying you're more productive these days, as an example, because you use ChatGPT, right? And you're able to deliver more. You do a better job at something. So the stats say that you're now almost 1.5 per an employee, right? You're like 1.5 employees. I think it's actually more than that these days, right? I think you're almost like 2 employees now versus that 1. But that's where I think the efficiency start to.
I guess, but the question I'd put back to you is, if it's displacing that many people, what happens to them? Where do they go?
Yeah, no, that's a interesting discussion about where do they go? Do they kind of, because you don't need to be an engineer to operate AI. You don't need to be. It's not a super technical thing that some people think it's super technical, right? It can be. You think? I mean, it can be.
I think it's what you do with it, right? What are you using AI for, and what's the outcome? And that's where it becomes technical. Again, it's if I'm asking it to write me a document, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, it does a really good job.
Yeah.
And the output is easy for me to read, proofread, edit, and do like normal. But then if you talk about development work, there's still a lot of technical that sits behind it that you still have to understand what the output is producing.
100%. So I don't think it's gonna. I think it's going to thin the herd in that regard, because you don't need as many QA testers. You don't need as many developers, actual writers of code, right? Like that stuff is actively being replaced today, right? So what are they doing? Well, they're probably working in jobs now that they can now leverage AI and do something 1.5 times. It's the developer that was writing code. Now he's not writing code. Now he's like deploying code and running it through QA agents and stuff like that. Is that too far fetched right now, or that's happening right now, isn't it?
I don't know if it's that far fetched. I wouldn't say that AI is writing holistic code without a developer, right? I think you still have to have the developer. You and I have talked about this, where you want to create a system and it requires several integration points. You still need a human involved in that to create those integration points, and to review the logic of the code to know, is this chunk of code going to talk to this chunk of code?
Leveraging AI, that's the job now, right? It's like leveraging AI. How do I connecting to different things? That you're the controller of that environment now, right?
So outside of customer services for voice, what role does AI bring to the voice channel for office workers, frontline workers, etc.?
Ooh, give me where does AI become? Where does it get used?
Where does it become useful outside of the customer service contact center for voice?
Oh, it becomes useful in executing whatever an individual. You're like your Jarvis, as an example. As a personal, if I'm an employee and I've got now my personal Jarvis, send an email to Mark Vale. Let him know that I'm going to be late for the meeting. Like that. That's where it becomes. I become a walking prompt, essentially, of all the things that I want to do. Right. So the things that come to mind instantly, I no longer have to sit there and go, I need to remember to go fill out my expenses. Right. I don't need to remember to go send an email to Mark and let him know that I'm going to be 15 minutes late. I can just say that's where verbal and chat is interesting to me, because, this whole generation, everybody argues with me on, but the young generation doesn't want to talk. They don't want to call somebody. I get they don't want to call somebody, but I guarantee you they would rather go, hey, can you do this? Instead of, hey, can you do this? Like, I don't know for a fact that I'm taking a leap there, but I think they'd be absolutely nuts to not go. Language is like, it's so basic to our being, right? It's like we learn to talk before, a lot of things.
So is there a room for a personal Siri?
Oh,
like you are Siri?
Absolutely. Absolutely there is. There's a work Siri and there's a home one.
Yeah, what I mean is, like, if I'm talking to you on WhatsApp, for instance, and I'm using the message, the audio message.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to send an audio message to you, is there scope for AI to respond as you to me?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely could. Yeah, do I want it to?
Yeah, what do you want it to?
Is be the question. I don't think I want that. My personal communication with you, as an example, or anybody that I want to maintain, it's going to be our choice. That's what's interesting about it. We're going to take AI to a point where we want to take it, because AI can do everything that we can do at this point. I think it's capable of doing dang near everything that we can do. Now, if I talk about the plumber as an example, from a business perspective, is the plumber he runs a 5-person shop? Is he interested in AI? He's probably not interested in AI. Should he be? Yes, because the next size company up that has 25 people who embraces it creates the smartest dispatch agent, the most efficient routes, the best marketing and sales, right? And that person then comes and eats my lunch.
Yeah, so what I'm getting at is there's a lot of knowledge knocking around between the ears, right? And to get that knowledge from your worker or your co-worker, that person has to be available and talking to you. But what happens if Copilot or whatever it is listening to your conversations, listening to that knowledge being transferred, whether it be verbal or via text, and then when you're away, somebody asks you a question and says, based on what I know about Mark, he would say this.
Yeah.
Is that where it should go?
100%. And that's the whole, I think it should absolutely go there, right? Because you don't want flow to stop because I'm not there. I'm an overseer of things, but I don't want production efficiencies to stop. Now, and what's interesting about that is we're moving, Brandon. I mean, we're putting people on Teams phone, right? And I feel like the narrative is going to change from it's just a phone system, or I'm doing Teams phone from a communications and collaboration platform, CX. Okay, cool. To me, the paradigm's shifting a bit, and it's like that interaction is important, but what's really important is what I'm communicating, that interaction, right? That's what's really important. And that's why I think at some point we can, right? At some point we can look to that and go, hey, this is what Mark would have said, right? It's going to be, it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable.
And I just don't think we're there yet for the reasons you mentioned earlier, right? Governance, privacy. I think the large majority of the population, the human brain, can't comprehend this stuff. I'm not even saying I comprehend it. I'm just saying, like, large majority don't understand what AI is. It's maybe scary to them. And Mark and I talk about this quite a bit behind your back.
I'm the cheerleader.
You have to start with very specific. You have to start with very specific use cases. You have to start showing people what is possible with AI, not just this generic let me prompt it all in. Are we getting human bombed here?
Is it the playoff?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Now I've lost my train of thought. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Adam, wherever he went.
Yeah, the security compliance.
No,
and
no,
all
no.
that.
We got a specific use cases. You got to start somewhere. Like the one example I'm thinking of, and let's bring this around to momentum. We're an international company, right? You got Mark Vale sitting here from UK. We just bought a company in Denmark. We've got a company in Amsterdam. We've got resources sitting in Central and South America. We have resources sitting in Asia Pacific. We all speak different languages, right? We saw a demo today of real-time and the real-time interpreter in Teams. Like the ability to start taking documents, text, and audio and doing real-time translation, that
Huge.
is where you start to go, oh my goodness, I now get what AI is capable of doing.
Yeah, and by the way, that's his hologram. He's in the UK still. That's just his hologram.
I guess I haven't tried to hug him yet.
I did. I gave him a hug. So that is, I mean, you're absolutely right. And what's interesting is the way that when I was looking at some examples, I'm giving a session later today, right? I'm going through my examples, and I look at it and go, oh, the kind of recurring theme in those examples is all the tools that we're trying to build now are to take down the barriers of absorbing the data. Because if we can absorb all the data, then we know exactly what to do with it. Now let me talk about compliance for just a second. I think you're absolutely right in that some large companies and people that are really concerned about privacy and data, I think it's going to be a stumbling block for them, right? It's going to be a yellow light. Let's pause a little bit. Let's see what that's going to look like.
Your sales pitch is, do you use Facebook? Yes, then what's your problem?
Right?
He's got the Meta glasses, so exactly.
I'm sending it all everywhere. I'm sending my data everywhere. And so, but if you think about that, there is a subset of customers, take the SMB. And this was an interesting chat I had with a Microsoft person. But Microsoft is positioned really well for the mid-market and the enterprise, right? The SMB, not so much, right? But the SMB is going to go, I'm a 5-person company. I need to go hire 3 more people, but if I could do this cheaper, faster, do you think they care about where's your data going? Like they have no clue. I mean, they're still on Facebook. They're still on Instagram. They're a walking IP address and a repository of everything they say, right? So it's pretty interesting, the capabilities now.
Yeah, so I guess bringing it back to comms vNext before we get told to shut up and get out.
Play off, get played off.
What's been your highlight so far?
For me, it's been fun, and it's not really session specific, but we're only a little over half a day in. We've got new momentum people here this year, and it's watching. Everyone's been to conferences before, whether it's like Enterprise Connect, Channel Partners, or the big kind of more speed dating enterprise level stuff. But watching our fellow coworkers going, oh my goodness, this is what you guys are living and breathing every day. They hear us talking about it, but now they're seeing demos of it. They're hearing other people talk about it, and they're like, whoa. That's been my favorite
right?
part. What's that?
Now you got to sing the whole new world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not singing for anyone on a live show.
Hold on, where's my guitar? Mark, I'm gonna assume the questions for me also. The highlight of the show, I think I'm gonna be somewhat political and go being around all of our teammates. I think that's pretty cool. Actually, I love chatting with Mark in person and being around Mark and everybody else. But outside of that stuff, I think the keynote was interesting, and then I had a side chat with Juan an hour later after the keynote, and I sat down with him for 15 minutes, and we had kind of this futuristic sort of talk. And I think that for me that was the highlight, because I think it's I kind of see the picture that he's painting, and I kind of agree with it. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's my highlight. You?
My conference is just starting now. All the troubleshooting's out of the way.
Yeah. You're wearing about 3 hats at this show, right? Just attend for the event, hub, if you will, all the tech behind it, and then obviously Commsverse coming up in June.
Yep.
So you're probably getting a lot of questions around that, and probably chasing certain sponsors around, waiting for a checkbook to open up, that kind of stuff. I'm going to say another favorite thing, and it came from the keynote. I like how Juan pointed out, you have to get to a point where you stop prompting AI and you start fine-tuning AI.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty profound.
That's interesting. I do want to say something about Just the 10 really quick, because Mark, I do want to say, Mark works with us at Momentum. He's a big part of our modern work team at Momentum, but he's also an entrepreneur and has a platform called Just the 10 that is a trade show management system. Mark, what is Just the 10 exactly?
It's an all-in-one event management platform. So any event that's looking for registration to lead scanning to badge printing to running their entire event scheduling, it does it pretty well.
That's impressive, and it came out of
Comsverse.
right out of Comsverse. And by the way, he runs the largest Teams show in the world out of London. Once a year, Comsverse gets together, June something or other, 18th, 19th, 17th, 16th, somewhere over there.
I was going to, the 18th and 19th. I could be a bit more diplomatic and say that side of the Atlantic, like the east side.
Considering that we're at a team show, but look, I've been to that. It's at Mercedes-Benz World. It takes up like 3 floors at Mercedes-Benz World. It's an amazing show that you put on, and Just the 10 was born out of necessity, yeah?
Born out of Microsoft Community, probably the need for technology to be able to be there at an affordable cost that does everything while I'm still working other jobs.
Yeah, interesting. It's like the thing for the hair growth for men, like Just for Men or whatever it is. The hair growth. He's like,
I'm not there yet.
Not only are you the founder, you're a customer.
Speaking of just for men, I will say this. I thought it was really cool, and it's just water cooler talk at this point. I thought it was cool that you got Just Attend, Mark Vail coming here for this event, but right before it, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name, but a very big university here in Colorado used his Just Attend for a big campus event. So obviously Just Attend is expanding well outside of the Microsoft community.
Yeah,
and I know that's one of many logos you've signed up.
One of those, yeah. California State is another one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like this is fantastic to talk about that though. Like I think that's you're a humble, softly spoken, not madly sort of pitching yourself as Just Attend everywhere. But I think you deserve a plug because man, it's an amazing platform. I know these guys have used it a long time, and I get to put my sessions in, and sometimes they get accepted because they're worthy content, and most of the time they're not. But now I know a guy.
Just press that button for me on the back end, yeah.
There we go. Okay, guys, I think that's our time here. vNext. I think it's been a pretty interesting show. I'm excited to dig in a little bit more, maybe hit the trade floor show and see some of the stuff that's out there. But interesting time we're living in.
Yeah, a lot of good sessions coming up. Shout out to Eric Marcy sitting behind the cameras, making us look good, helping us sound good. Big shout out to Eric.
All after a 30-hour drive.
Look at that. 30-hour drive with not as much gear as last year because he's consolidated it, and it looks way cooler now. So, Eric, thank you very much.
We're missing the 42U rack in the background, aren't we?
That's right. Thank goodness, right? Who wants to lug that thing around? It's all AI, Mark. Okay, all right. I think that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you very much. That's not numbered episode of Everything Teams Phone Live. That is just the vNext edition. We'll see you.